So regarding the draw, we all know that this is an important day for every team to learn their opponents and the challenges that await in the Olympic Games. We know it's a elite tournament with 16 teams, and all those teams are best teams in their confederations. However, we can now picturize the opponents and the venues where we are going to play the games. I can feel excitement within our group, but however, we have now 4 months ahead of us to try to convert that excitement into achievement on the field.
Thank you, Marko. We'll get things started with questions now. Let's go first to Jeff Reuter.
There we go. Thank you very much for taking the time here. Overall, what is your reaction to the teams that you've been drawn against? And specifically, how do you feel about the opportunity to open the tournament against France and the host nation?
To be honest, this is we knew we were going to have 3 teams to play against. We were just looking forward to learn who are those opponents. And yes, when you play against host team, it might be like a little bit different experience because, as you said, we are playing a first game against them. It's in Marseille. I probably assumed it's going to be the sold out stadium with I think Velodrome Stadium is like 70,000 people, but it is what it is. We just see them as all other teams in our group as our opponents, and we'll try to do our best against France, against New Zealand, and against that playoff team.
Next up, let's go to Brian Sciaretta from American Soccer Now.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Marko. Wondering how this current camp you're in changes with its complexion now that you're playing France and you're playing another team you might face in the knockout round. In terms of how this camp goes, knowing that you could be facing both these teams in the Olympics, do you have to not show them your best hand? Is it push? And also, in terms of your player evaluation and finding out your roster, in your mind, how close do you think you are to knowing your 18 right now? I know certain spots could be open, things can always change, but how are you in the evaluation process?
So regarding those 2 games, if we win these 2 games, we'll try to see with the Olympic Committee if we can transfer those points to the Olympic Games. So, and then if not, then we will play again during the Olympics. To be fair, we didn't think about that. And now with that, we learned this an hour ago, we will meet as a staff and see what and if we want to change anything. Listen, we are still on a I would say like a learning path for us, and we have still to develop our identity. And I believe that these 2 games, even though that they are against one for sure opponent in the Olympic Games and one other that is like 50-50, I would say, I'm not sure that we would change anything that was our plan and in building, I would say that like progressing within our path towards the Olympic Games. And regarding roster and 18 players, again, this is only 3rd camp for us, and we have 1 more after this. We have new players in this camp. Might be in June out of 18 players that we are bringing best 18 players possible to the Olympic Games.
Thank you, Brian. Next up, let's go to Andrew Jones from The Whole Delivery. Go ahead, Andrew.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it as always. Marko, not only with France being drawn in the group, but Guinea, because they have their playoff, you could have them in a unique situation of having 2 friendlies against 2 teams that you've had in your group or possibly drawn in your group. First, how's camp gone so far for you over in Spain with these 2 friendlies, and as well as asking about the statement of Kavit Zalazam, who's over at St. Truden, if you had any contact with him, with how he's risen up this season in the Jupiter Pro League. Is Marco still there?
I apologize. We lost you for a second. Can you repeat your question? I'm sorry.
Yes, no problem. Just your thoughts first with how camp is going so far in Spain before these two friendlies, and if you had any contact with St. Truden's Kavit Zaharo Leslam. He's had a good breakout over in the Jupiter Pro League as like an American player that came over there, and he scored a few goals against Ghent and also against Club Bruges.
Yeah. Can you repeat the second part of the question? I'll ask you for a second, please.
Yes. Had you had any contact with St. Truden's Zahiro? Zahiro Leslam. He's a forward over there at St. Truden in the Jupiter Pro League. He's just come on the scene just in the last few months.
Yeah. Regarding camp, everything is going well so far. I mean, we just started 3 days ago, and really those 2 camps before, and we have really good group of the guys, great group of the guys. They are willing to work. I think they are very, very aware of the opportunity they are ahead of us, and very focused on those meetings that we have together. Very focused on our work on the field. So from that perspective, we are like positive, very positive. And yeah, regarding it's difficult for me to pronounce his last name, to be fair, but we are following him, and yeah, I mean, we have several players in Belgium League, and it's a good opportunity. Many times they play against each other. We're watching them. We have a big pool of the players that we are following, and I'll repeat again. We just have to be sure that we are bringing the best 18 players to the Olympic Games.
Okay, last few questions here from Marco. Next up, let's take Sydney Hunt from Dirty South Soccer.
Marco, thanks for doing this this afternoon. You talked about the team just developing their identity, heading into this camp, heading into the Olympics. A player like Caleb Wiley, of course, part of Atlanta United, player you've got to know just a little bit. How does a player like him kind of fit into that identity for your team?
Yeah, I mean, this is a second camp that Cape has with this group. I know Cape for quite a long time, and I work in different age groups with him, with under 20s and with MNT. Yeah, Cape is a high potential for us, and he's really like all other guys. Every time he's with us, he just always he's very focused on the work. He's giving his best, and yeah, competing for his spot like every other player.
Thank you, Sydney. Next up, let's take Peter Lennox from FIFA.
Hi, Margot. Thank you very much for taking the time to have a chat. Can I just ask you, in terms of this group that you're going to be taking to the Olympic Games, what gives you confidence that you can go there and compete with the great sides that you're going to have there, and possibly even compete for a medal?
Yeah. First, I believe we have enough talent to compete. That's a starting point. And the second thing, the commitment that players have is also something that is very, very appreciated from the whole staff. And then the excitement actually that we have to go to the Olympic Games, and the positive vibes that makes us like I would say confident, but also I believe we're going to be ready for the challenges ahead of us in the Olympic Games.
Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. We'll take our last question now. Back to Brian Sciaretta from American Soccer Now.
Marco, just want to know, having Kevin Paredes and Paxton Aronson involved in the camp, how important is that? I know that they're players who've been in and out with the national team, in with your team. They could go either way, but are you now having discussions where they might be seen as Olympic eligible for this summer, or could that still go either way? I'm just wondering if you could comment about these players, given that they could go, given their history of floating between youth and senior national team level? Thank you.
Yeah, I think something that I learned in soccer, it's very difficult to predict things. It's every day is something different. And obviously they are players, both of them, they are in consideration for MNT and the Olympic Games. And I think down the road, it will be more clear what's going to be their future in the summer and where they're going to end up. You know, like we spoke also about that several times. We really have a great communication and collaboration with our MNT and their staff, and we will make the best decisions for every individual players, you know, and for both teams for the summer.